Today I'm gonna be showing you how to make a Puerto Rican coquito and 10 of the best flavors. Starting with the Nutella coquito, then the popular pistachio coquito, the Oreo, the seasonal pumpkin coquito, the strawberry coquito, the guava coquito, my favorite, the mint coquito, the orange coquito, the peanut butter coquito, and the delicious coffee flavor coquito. Now first, let's start with the ingredients that you're gonna need to make the tea, which is the base for the coquito. You're gonna need cinnamon sticks, not ground cinnamon, you have to use the sticks. You also gonna need cloves and also star anise. And the cinnamon, the cloves, and the star anise to find in the spice section of your supermarket. And the last ingredient is fresh ginger. Some people use nutmeg or allspice, but trust me, the ginger is the one you want to use. Then all of these ingredients are boiled in water to make the coquito tea. And the tea, besides giving flavor to the recipe, it also helps dilute it, because if not, it will be very thick. And besides the tea ingredients, you also gonna need 1 can of evaporated milk, 1 can of condensed milk, 1 can of cream of coconut, 1 can of coconut milk, ground cinnamon, and vanilla extract. Now for the cream of coconut, my favorite brand is Coco Lopez, and this is made in the Dominican Republic and is really, really good. The other brand that you could use and you could find in almost any supermarket is gonna be this one. And I think is a little cheaper than the Coco Lopez brand. Now the cream of coconut in the can comes all lumpy and hard, so if you only need half of the can, it's gonna be kind of hard to get it out. So that's when you want to use the bottle cream of coconut, because it will make measuring so simple. Now for the coconut milk, you want to use canned coconut milk, because the coconut milk that comes in a carton is not as thick as the canned one, so it's not as creamy. You could use any brand you like. Right here I use the Great Value Walmart brand, and trust me, it is really good. Now the Puerto Rican coquito is always made with rum, and most of the time the preferred rum is gonna be Bacardi. You could use the Bacardi White or the Bacardi Gold, but depending on the coquito recipe, this could change. Like for the orange coquito, I use Cointreau, which is the orange flavor liquor. You could also use any type of brandy or add no alcohol at all. Now before making a coquito, you need to make the tea. And right here you see me making the tea for 4 portions, but if you're only gonna make 1 coquito recipe, you're gonna need 1.5 cups of water, 2 cinnamon sticks, 6 cloves, 3 star anise, and about 1-inch piece of ginger. And then you cook this for 10 minutes over high heat. Then you're gonna turn it off and you're gonna let it cool. Then we're gonna need to strain the tea. And if you're making this days ahead, then you're gonna put it in your fridge until you're ready to use it. If not, just leave it at room temperature until you mix the next ingredients. Now let's talk about the coquito bottles. Now in reality, you can save your coquito in any bottle that you like, but a glass bottle will work the best. But the typical bottle that you will see that is used for coquito is this one. This bottle holds about 2 cups, and you need 4 of these for a regular coquito recipe. As you can see here, any bottle is good. This is the empty maple syrup bottle. To me, always my favorite bottles are gonna be the empty rum bottles, and the coquito looks so pretty. And now let's make the original coquito. You could mix the ingredients in a blender, or you could do it by hand. But if you're gonna do it by hand, I always suggest to just mix the thicker ingredients first, like the cream of coconut and the condensed milk, because then it will be easier to incorporate the other ingredients. But if you're using a blender like me, you can add all of your ingredients at the same time, mix for 1 minute, and you're done. Or mix at least until all the ingredients are combined. This will depend on what ingredients you're using and what type of flavor coquito you're making. Now some coquito variations depending on what your needs are. If you want to make a vegan coquito, all you have to do is change the evaporated milk and the condensed milk for the coconut version. To make a lower fat coquito version, then all you have to do is change your canned coconut milk for the carton version. And to make a coquito low in sugar, all you have to do is remove the condensed milk and change it for evaporated milk. Then you can add your favorite sugar-free sweetener. Now after you added all your ingredients to your blender and they are combined, you're gonna bottle up the coquito. It doesn't matter what bottle you use, but you always need to leave some space on top, because you need to shake the coquito before serving. freezing. This is because the coconut milk is gonna solidify once it's cold. So don't think your coquito is bad. This is how it's supposed to get. And here you have the Puerto Rican coquito. Now let's make the Nutella coquito. For this one, we're gonna use the same base. 1 can of coconut milk, evaporated milk, cream of coconut, but the condensed milk, we're only gonna use half a can. We also add 1 cup of the tea and 1 cup, of course, of Nutella. And we're not gonna add the cinnamon or the vanilla extract. Then all of this, you're gonna mix it for about a minute until you see that everything is well combined. As for the rum, you can add it now or you can add it to each individual drink. If you're adding rum, it's gonna be 1 ounce per each drink. Then refrigerate or serve over ice. This coquito is sweet, creamy, and very, very delicious. Now let's make the pumpkin coquito. To your blender, you're gonna add 1 can of coconut milk, cream of coconut, evaporated milk, and condensed milk. Now to make a pumpkin coquito, you could definitely use fresh pumpkin. You just have to peel it, boil it, and then mash it. Or you could use canned pumpkin like I did. You just need 1 cup. Then we're gonna add half a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of pumpkin spice, 1 cup of the tea, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And always remember, leave that little space on the bottle so you can shake it up before serving. And that's how easy it is to make this delicious pumpkin coquito. Now we're gonna be making one of the most popular coquito flavors, and it's the pistachio coquito. To your blender, you're gonna add 1.5 cups of peeled pistachios. Then we're gonna add the cup of tea and we're gonna let this blend for 1 minute. Blend this until it looks like a smooth paste. You can also do this first step in a food processor. You'll know the pistachios are ready because they'll look like a creamy paste. Now, if you want to use the pistachio paste, all you need is going to be 1.5 cups of the paste. Then we're going to add 1 can of evaporated milk, 1 can of coconut milk, 1 can of cream of coconut, and 1 can of condensed milk. And make sure that you scrape those cans up because that's where our sugar comes from. Then we're going to add half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Then we're going to mix this for about a minute. And if you have a lot of the pistachio paste stuck to the sides of your blender, make sure that you scrape it before mixing it again. Now, a little note on the texture of this pistachio coquito is that it will have some kind of crunchy texture unless you made an ultra creamy smooth paste. So if you don't want to feel any crunchy bits in your drink, just make sure you strain it before serving. But the texture in this pistachio coquito is delicious. Another super popular coquito is the Oreo coquito. You're gonna add 1 can of the coconut milk, 1 can of the evaporated milk, 1 can of the cream of coconut, but only half of the can of the condensed milk. And you're also gonna add 1 cup of the coquito tea. You're also gonna need about 20 Oreos, half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. I added my cookies in 2 batches, but you could add them all at the same time. And you can also add your rum. Then to serve this, you could drizzle your cup with some chocolate syrup, and it looks delicious. And you see, it is super easy to make the Oreo coquito. Now let's make a strawberry coquito. For this recipe, you're gonna need 1 cup of strawberries. I used frozen strawberries, but you can also use fresh strawberries. I just used the frozen ones out of convenience because I already had them. Then you're also gonna need 1 can of coconut milk, evaporated milk, cream of coconut, and condensed milk. You're also gonna need 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And you can add or leave out the rum. Then chill and you're ready to serve. And to this, you can add pieces of chopped strawberries on top, and it is delicious. Now let's make my very, very favorite coquito flavor, and this is the mint coquito. Now this recipe can be done in many ways. I've seen it being made with mint flavor ice cream. It is also made using candy canes or peppermint mint flavor candies, and even peppermint flavored chocolate. But I decided to make it different. I first started with the base. I added 1 can of coconut milk, evaporated milk, condensed milk, and cream of coconut. I also added 1 cup of the coquito tea. Then to add the mint flavor to the coquito, I added 1 teaspoon of the mint extract. And I also added 5 fresh mint leaves. You could always add more, but I think this is the perfect quantity to get that smooth, minty taste. To this, we also need to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now this part is optional, but I love adding about 1/4 of a teaspoon of a gel green food coloring. You could always add more or less. And we also add half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Now I have a suggestion for you. If you're gonna add alcohol and you like chocolate, try this with Bailey's. A great way to serve this is to take and chop up some chocolate and add some little pieces on top, and it will be super delicious. This is the best mint coquito that you could ever make. Now let's make an orange flavor coquito. And this drink is gonna have the same base ingredients as the regular coquito, but we're gonna add 1 teaspoon of orange extract and 4 ounces of Cointreau or any orange flavor liquor. So it's gonna be 4 ounces of the Cointreau and only 4 ounces of any rum you like. So this orange coquito is not a kid-friendly version. And to this, we also gonna add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and only half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And to give this a nice orange hue, I always like to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of orange coloring. And this tastes just like an orange creamsicle cocktail, but with coconut. Now let's make the peanut butter coquito. We're gonna add 1 can of coconut milk, 1 can of evaporated milk, 1 can of cream of coconut, and 1 can of condensed milk, and 1 cup of the tea. We also add 1 cup of peanut butter. If you like a crunchy texture, then add the crunchy peanut butter. Then we add 2 teaspoons of vanilla and 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Then mix until everything is well combined. And now let's make the coquito that you can make every morning, and this is gonna be the coffee coquito. To your blender, you're gonna add 1 can of coconut milk, cream of coconut, evaporated milk, and condensed milk, plus 3 tablespoons of your favorite instant coffee, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Mix and serve over ice, and this is just like having an iced coffee but with a coconut flavor, and it's absolutely delicious. Now the last flavor is gonna be a guava coquito. This is gonna have the same base ingredients as the regular coquito, but to this one you're gonna add 12 ounces of guava paste. And you're also gonna add 1 cup of the coquito tea, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Then you're gonna mix this for a minute or until your drink is nice and smooth. Now all the recipes to all the coquitos made here are gonna be in the description below. Now thanks for watching, see you on the next video, and buen provecho.